Welcome to the Art of Action Figures. On this episode, I'm going to be unboxing and giving a brief overview of the Demoniacal Fit Father and Son set. If you're unfamiliar, Demoniacal Fit is what's commonly called a third-party brand making unofficial or unlicensed Dragon Ball action figures in the style of SH Figuarts, and in some cases, like this one, very, very in the style of SH Figuarts. This set from Demoniacal Fit is, of course, very reminiscent of Tamashi's own 2023 event exclusive Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Ghost Goku 2-pack that they released. And while that set was very well received and available on Premium Bandai, I ultimately decided to pass on it. Number one, I just really don't need any more 2.0 Gokus. And number two, and probably the biggest reason, was I already have the original release of the battle-damaged Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and am pretty satisfied with it. I know they updated the face prints on the newer one, but I actually kind of prefer the way this looks. I think they went a little overboard with the detail on the new one. The battle-damaged scratch marks didn't really add anything for me. It just kind of called attention to the fact that the battle damage wasn't really accurate to the way I remember it, which brings me to this release. There are a couple of differences from the Bandai release. The first and maybe most noticeable is we do have some blood deco on the figure. And normally I'm not a big fan of blood paint applications. Like, for example, I wouldn't have liked that all over Legendary Super Saiyan Goku. But for this specific Gohan, if they're going to do this battle damaged look, it's such a point in time appearance for him, and I actually think that so far, from what I can tell through the box, the paint application looks pretty nice and finely applied. It doesn't look like somebody took a red marker to it, which is all too often the case with blood effects on figures. Something else, like, I kind of always preferred Dragon Ball Z, especially when it had more of a PG-13 kind of rating to it and wasn't afraid to have a little teeth. I don't love, especially like in a show that is just so violent, to kind of take all of the effects of that violence out of it. Kind of feels wrong. For whatever reason, this called to me more than the little black pen marks that Tamashi put on their release. Even more significant to me was Demoniacal Fit has actually done somehow an updated Super Saiyan 2 head sculpt, whereas Tamashi's release used the same Super Saiyan 2 head sculpt as the original, but in a more pearlescent, maybe almost translucent finish. I actually kind of like the pearlescent hair, but this head sculpt, while it is a good, serviceable Super Saiyan 2 head sculpt, I wouldn't say it is great. Just a little bit soft and short for me, I think. With this new style head sculpt, Demoniacal Fit has done pretty much exactly the things I would do to this one, lengthened and sharpened it quite a bit. So I thought that looked pretty good, so that caught my attention. And then, of course, try the Demoniacal Fit head on the Fighter Who Surpassed Goku body and see what that looks like. The other figure that's included here, you can't really see through the window, so we're going to spin the box around. We can see it does also include a translucent Ghost Goku figure. Unlike Tamashi's, which was done in kind of a monochrome blue, Demoniacal Fit has done more of a full color version. Do you think that Tamashi's monochrome blue version looks a little bit better when paired with Gohan? Here, the two figures kind of fight with each other for attention. Just the colors, nothing really matches. Goku in this bright orange kind of pulls focus away from Gohan, whereas the translucent blue from Tamashi, I think, fades behind him a little bit more. The fact that it includes both a base form hair sculpt and a Super Saiyan 1 hair sculpt, along with the faces needed for both of those. In the manga, Goku was not Super Saiyan during the Kamehameha, but again, in various other renditions of this scene, he's been Super Saiyan. So it works both ways, I think. Looking at the front of the box, we can see Demoniacal Fit has definitely taken maybe a little bit more than notes from Tamashii on the design. Very similar to Tamashii's own event-exclusive packaging with the black background and single color render of the figures. Perfect posing on the front here. For this set, great color choice with the purple. And yeah, not much else to say other than this box style is great. Down at the bottom, we of course see maybe some atypical brand logos, but we do have our warning, choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years, ages 15 and up, product may differ from photo, Demoniacal Fit 2024 made in China, and we can see the name of this set. Since it is an unlicensed figure, it cannot use the real character names, so we just have father and son, but we all know who that is, huh? The left-hand side, we just have that more of a charging Kamehameha rendering here. And on the right, just the name of the figure. On the bottom, and across the top again. And finally, spinning around the back, you can see some promo photos. If you ordered from 5K Toys, I think I saw that they are just starting to ship these out. I got this from AliExpress, and that's why it has arrived a little bit dinged up, but honestly not the worst that I've had. A little bit of damage on the back here. And there may still be some sellers who have it, but do check seller ratings since it's kind of more of an eBay. Got my trusty hobby knife here, and I'm just gonna gently slice the tape along the right hand side here. Gently feed the blade under the flap, push towards the back of the box, and out. And that flap comes out nicely, and we can see the lovely purple color printed on the inside. But first, let's go ahead and close our hobby knife back up. Slide these two out, and we'll do a quick rundown of all the accessories. I'm not going to show everything in 100% detail. I am curious about a couple of points of articulation on this Gohan, because there are a few on the Bandai figure that leave a little to be desired, so I'm curious if Demoniacal Fit has done any adjusting to those. We'll, of course, try some head swaps. We'll probably do a couple basic father-son poses, and we'll end it there, all right? Going over the accessories here, Gohan has a total of 4 faces, including a serious to neutral face, a smirking face, a gritting teeth face that looks a little rough to me, and a pretty good-looking shouting face. He also has 5 pairs of hands, fists by default, splayed finger, open palm hands, clenched finger, open palm hands, relaxed hands, and a pair of hands with pegs on them to pour it onto the Kamehameha ball. Goku here is loaded out with the Super Saiyan hair and the base form hair. The Super Saiyan hair has a total of 4 faces, neutral, smirking, gritting teeth, and shouting. And the base form has 3 faces, neutral, grimacing, and shouting. And then a ton of hands, 6 pairs of hands total, fists, splayed finger, open palm hands, clenched finger, open palm hands, martial arts style pose hands, instant transmission hands, and flat karate chop hands. And then, of course, we have the Kamehameha ball with 7 shafts of light that you can plug into it. We'll see how that works as well. Let's go ahead and lift them out. And here is Super Saiyan 2 out of the tray. Bringing him in close, you can see what I was talking about with the blood effects being pretty refined, and unlike a lot of blood effects I've seen on figures, you can see like individual line marks in there, and I really think that helps to prevent it from looking like somebody took a red marker to your figure. One thing that stands out to me is, very distinctly, Gohan's left arm gets really hecked up in this fight, and I remember quite a lot of blood like streaming down his arm through the muscles, and I really would have liked to see them go all the way with it. And then kind of similar to the fighter who surpassed Goku, we have a little bit of differing finish in the plastics of the arms. So as you can see, it's kind of the opposite. Surpassed Goku with kind of a shinier plastic for the shoulder and a more matte plastic for the arm. Opposite in the Demoniacal Fit's case, more of a matte plastic on the shoulder and then a bit shinier on the arm. And here you can see what the heads look like swapped between Fighter Who Surpassed Goku and the Demoniacal Fit 2.0. 2.0 body is a little bit bigger and the head sits a little bit higher on the neck, so there's definitely something lost in translation here. The skin tones match up pretty well. Of course, like I said, there is the blood marks on Super Saiyan 2 head. And then zooming in here to the Super Saiyan 2 head on this body, you could maybe adjust to this and not think it looks weird. It looks weird at first, but maybe give it a few minutes and don't look at the other figure, and it's passable. A few comments on the quality. Demoniacal Fit is one of, if not the longest running Dragon Ball third-party brands, and their quality is pretty consistent. And the best way to describe it, it's kind of like imagine Tamashii on a bad day. Not their worst day, but, you know, just not their best either. And that is pretty much how it compares, both in kind of the quality of the plastics. You can see just such a difference in the finish. Of course, Tamashii is not quite near this level of finish in some of their own figures these days, but the other place it shows up is in the quality of the joints. You can hear just how quiet, and quiet therefore smooth, the joints are on Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, although I will say this ankle is misbehaving a little bit. But whereas this one, just about every joint fairly tight, not loose, maybe a little too tight in a couple places. But, you know, if you saw way back my Beast Gohan review, my superhero Ultimate Gohan sounds pretty similar to this, to be honest. So it's pretty close to kind of Tamashii budget figure quality, and that's not a bad thing. It's definitely not going to touch the original 2.0 and the event exclusive figure arts, but seeing as those two are pretty hard to come by, this isn't a bad alternative. And one more area where the quality dips a little bit from figure arts is just in the mold itself. You can see some chewing marks or whatever on some of the spikes. Didn't get fully formed in the mold, and the back of the knees look a little rough at the tops of these tears in his pants. But the worst of it is really these seam lines on the thighs here. Pretty noticeable, so that's not great. The hip caps also could be a bit smoother. They didn't change the lower torso design, so it is just like on the original, molded in purple and painted skin tone, so that's always going to be a tough thing to match. It's maybe a little bit closer than the original SHF, but I think the event exclusive is maybe the best of the three in that regard. Of course, some color variation here. This has more of a bluish purple and different paint application with kind of a light purple spray instead of this darker wash. Again, more painted skin tone at the tears in the pants. This does look a little bit better to me than the the Bandai one here. And it might just be by virtue of using a skin tone with a little less pigment. It may be easier to color match that way. While the Figuarts is definitely much smoother in articulation, there are a couple little spots where Demoniacal Fit maybe made some adjustments. A little bit of improvement looking up on the Demoniacal Fit. Looking down is quite similar. Demoniacal Fit, it does just move a little bit more, maybe 5 degrees more. Ab crunch. Leaning back, this was actually kind of surprising, but extra movement on the Demoniacal Fit. That's past 45 degrees for Demoniacal Fit, and Figuarts closer to 30, 45 maybe. So they did make a couple of little adjustments in the torso and the neck. Pretty significant when on tilting side to side. So it's good to see they did refine some things there. I don't know whether Bandai did on the event exclusive. Figuarts gets a slight victory on the side to side split, but it does feel a little tight, like something is rubbing in a way it shouldn't when I do this. But Demoniacal Fit, pretty effortlessly gets to there. Not going to spend too much time on Goku. It seems like it's pretty much either full power Super Saiyan Goku or possibly Super Saiyan 3 Goku as a base body. I think the Super Saiyan 3 Goku is the one that has no side on his waist piece, kind of like this, and that gives him slightly more kick to the sides. But yeah, he's pretty solid. He's maybe a little bit wobbly, but not terrible. But yeah, that is the Transluscent Super Saiyan, and I was curious about this spiked up base form hair sculpt, and it is in fact the same as the Kaioken Goku. This is the original one, but the new one has the same powered up hair sculpt. So that's pretty cool. And just to see if this would work, this is not a head swap you would ever do, but just to see if the heads are compatible with the Tamashii 2.0 neck peg. That works really well. That looks really weird, but you could, in theory, put this head onto full power Super Saiyan Goku and put the full power Super Saiyan Goku faces on it if you wanted a translucent Super Saiyan head. And if you want Kaioken Goku with more straight black hair, the Kaioken faces swap onto DF's powered up base form hair, and that looks pretty cool. And this base form hair is also translucent. It's hard to tell, but if I shine some light through it, here we have Gohan with the gritting teeth face. This was the one that I thought looked a little bit dodgy, and it does from some angles. I always think these gritting teeth faces look a little less weird with just a faint outline around the mouth so that there's some more separation between the teeth and the rest of the face. I think this is probably the weakest of the Gohan faces, just something is a little off with the eyes and the mouth, but definitely serves its purpose and is plenty usable for shots such as protecting Vegeta here. And here's Gohan with the smirking face. I think the expression is nice and sharp on this one. Normally I'm all for smiling faces. Struggling to think of a good place to use this one for Gohan. with Gohan in this specific scene. Given that they made a new head sculpt for this specific Gohan, I do think there was an opportunity there to maybe go for some more scene-specific faces, like, for example, this expression with one eye closed as he's diving to protect Vegeta from Cell's attack would have been pretty cool. A surprised-looking face. The faces that this comes with are definitely useful and good in their own way, but just as a specific look for a specific scene, I think they could have made the faces a little bit unique for this character. But again, it's a good looking face sculpt and print. And probably most critical for this set, the shouting face, I think is really well done here. Making unique faces for this set, they could have done more of the side-eye expression that he makes when charging the Kamehameha. I think this also looks really, really nice. And of course, one of the reasons this set is so popular is when it all comes together, it is one of the most famous, popular images in all of Dragon Ball, even all of anime for that matter. The father-son Kamehameha is an emotional peak for the series, for sure. I spent a good bit of time just getting the figures to balance in this way. It was critical. I really wanted this alignment of the hands, and the angle of Goku's body is very specific in this shot, and I mean, it looks pretty odd from the side, so you have to kind of play with perspective a little bit. Goku figure is not the sturdiest figure that I've had. The translucent plastic, I think, just has a tendency to destabilize things a little bit. Pair that with Gohan, who has probably the worst ankle design in all of SH Figure Arts. But what I found works pretty well, actually, is having the two of them lean into each other at the shoulder and the back legs, and that, kind of resonates metaphorically with the scene, but also gives this setup the stability it needs. A little Kamehameha ball action here. I just put a couple of the shafts on. I think it's a little bit easier to manage that way, and it is the older style Kamehameha effect where there are specific shapes that specific beams have to plug into. Just flipping through the camera settings without even changing the lights, I can just adjust the white balance and give things a little bit of blue tint as much as I want, really, and that's pretty cool. I can decrease the shutter speed a little, expose a bit more, and there you've got like a totally different effect that is all in camera and looks pretty great. One more for the road. We'll get a good close-up of that shouting expression. This has been the Art of Action Figures, taking a look at Demoniacal Fit's father and son, aka Goku and Gohan from the final battle with Cell. Really a nice set when it all comes together, and a great option if you've missed out on the original Battle Damage Gohan release or the 2023 event exclusive. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.